and good to go.
Okay, we have a quorum, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. And before anything, I will read this script one more time. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless noted otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules. Please remember to mute your phone or computer, and please remember to speak clearly in a way that generates accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor. Well, I think they're all up on that. Okay. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present. So please say here when I call your name. Allison.
Here.
Diane. Ooh, not here. Okay. Vanessa. I think you're here. Kendra is coming. Jude.
Here.
Susie. Not here. Nancy.
And I saw Nancy earlier.
Yes, I saw her earlier too.
She's muted.
Linda
Here.
and myself here. Thank you. Since Diane is not here, can I get somebody to volunteer to take minutes? Don't everybody shout at once, please. Okay.
Linda's light's on.
Pardon?
Linda's light was on.
No, it's not. I don't have time for that. I've got 45,
Okay.
literally 45 clients right now, so I can't even think about it.
I guess I will ask Diane to take minutes based on the recording then. This open meeting is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of Acts of 2021. I think that's about it for the script. Thank you.
The shortest one I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, we all know it by heart practically. Next is the approval of the agenda, which I think everybody got in advance. So can I have somebody make a motion to approve the agenda?
Allison
So
moves to
moved.
approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, you got to do it by roll call. That's
Allison.
required.
Aye.
Diane's not here. Vanessa?
Aye.
Kendra's not here. Jude?
Kendra's here.
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry.
welcome. Can I have your yay to approving the agenda?
Yay.
Jude?
Yes.
Susie? Nancy?
Yes.
Linda?
Yep.
Marianne, yes. Okay, the next is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. And I think because Diane is not here, I'm going to put this off for approval at the next meeting, since there will be no chance for discussion. Okay, moving on to official business. The first item is for me to give you a status report on the 2 grants that we've received so far. So the first one is moving slowly, and I expected that to be the case. I expected that the first few months we would have very little activity, and then we'll pick up, it'll speed up, I think. But I have made some progress. As I told you last time, we've identified 1 possible handyman. But I've also had a meeting with the deputy fire chief about their participation. And just for those of you who may not know, the fire department runs this program called Operation Safe, where they go into the homes of seniors and they check on their smoke alarms and they change the batteries every year. And they are able to observe any other needs that seniors might have for safety purposes. So I met with Sean and we discussed how best to approach this and came up with the idea of having a handout, a kind of card that he could hand to seniors that he thinks might be interested. And that's why you got a draft of that handout. And I'd appreciate any feedback that you have. Just send me emails, suggested changes or edits that you think are necessary to that card. It's probably not worth taking up a lot of time here over wording, but I'd love to get everybody's suggestions. So thank you. And the other step I've taken is to talk with the physical therapy department head at the hospital, Jameson Heiss. And he's very interested in participating because as was suggested at our last meeting by Brenda Johnson, they have knowledge of what a senior might really truly need, which may be slightly different from what the senior thinks they need. So they want to participate in this. They would be willing to send somebody out to a senior's home to have a discussion about the best way to install modifications. So those are the other two things that have moved forward on that grant for home modifications. So as I said, a summary. It's moving slowly, but I knew that would be the case in the beginning because it's so new. So,
Excuse me, Miss
the
Mary Ann, can you tell me Sean's last name, please?
pardon?
Can you tell me Sean's last name?
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Thank you.
Are there any questions about that grant before I go on to the second grant?
And so we only have $7,000, right?
Correct,
And is it
And that is just for
1 year?
labor, or that's labor and materials?
everything.
Okay,
And if this turns out to be a successful program, we'll automatically get another year's worth of the same amount of money. So hopefully it will be successful. The second grant, of course, is to give caregivers, people who are seniors who are taking care of somebody who needs care, give them cash money for relief for them to go see a movie or get their hair done at the hairdresser or barber or whatever. And that is stuck in the approval process at the town. And Jericho tells me that today is the day that the contract will be signed. So I'm counting on that because I already have a first potential caregiver who would like to have some relief. And that this caregiver came through PASCON, Palliative and Supportive Care of Nantucket. You probably know that they have a caregiver support group. So I've been in contact with Debbie Dillon, I think it's her last name, that she's the new head of palliative care. And they were very interested in making this available to their clients. So she's already sent me the first person and I have that person's name and phone number. And as soon as we get a signed contract, I'm ready to call that person and see what she might need and what it might cost. So any questions or suggestions on the caregiver grant?
so did you ask for a dollar amount?
Yes, exactly. It was sorry, I gave this at the last meeting. I think it's $7,200
Okay,
total. And these are cash grants, so.
And so
we
how
have
will
to
that-
send
is
them
that
by-
what's, sorry, Allison, go ahead.
And so how's that going to work? They give you a receipt and they're reimbursed, or?
That is my first upfront question, actually, when we get the signed contract, because some of these people don't have cash to spend. And so not exactly, I'm hoping that we'll get the cash in advance so we can just hand it to them and they will give me the receipt. So yes, receipts are required for all of it.
And so this is a program offered by the town.
No, this is a program offered by Mcoa, Massachusetts Council on Aging.
And so we definitely got it?
Yes, we definitely got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's only through June, so we've got to spend it all by June 30th.
And if there's no dollar limit per person, I mean, how are we gonna do, I mean, how are we gonna do that?
That is up to you guys as the administrator of the grant. That's what you guys have to do on that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just like hand out dollar bills. There should be
$100
some sort of, I'm saying, yeah, $100 bills. There should be some sort
Well,
of like,
What I'm imagining is we'll have a discussion with each caregiver in the beginning, like what do you need to get some relief from caregiving? We're not going to send them to a vacation in Hawaii for sure. So that would be the time for discussing, would you like to go out to dinner with a friend? Would you like to get your hair done at the hairdresser's? So I'm imagining things on that scale. But we'll see.
It's gonna be hard to be fair, I think, if different people are asking for different things. I mean, do we have to be fair?
How you guys distribute this money and the ways that you check on its usage are entirely your guys' choice. So if you guys want to give it all to one person, you can do that. You have to then go back to, when you're going back to for the grant again, they'll check on how you have administered it, and what, depending on the specifics of this particular grant, they might want reporting based on cost and where it went, et cetera, et cetera. Marianne, is this require quarterly reporting, or is it just at the end of the June period?
It's monthly reporting. And maybe we should talk about, do you want to have a limit on each person? Is that what people are recommending, that we tell
Well,
each person?
Well,
who
maybe if we had like suggestions, like, lunch out for two, like, are we paying for someone to provide care for the person that the caregiver is supposed to be with? Are we paying for lunch as well? Who's going to be the person that we pay to step in to do the caregiving of the person? And I'm just trying to think of how we can make it easy to say yes or no, or support them, because sometimes it's hard to ask for things when you're a caregiver. So
I would, apologies, you finish, sorry.
And so if we, so who are we going to find to provide care for the person who needs care?
Well, we don't find anything. We just provide cash.
Okay.
It's going to be up to the person that takes the, here's a gift certificate for two people for you to go out to lunch. And if you can make it work, great. And then she or he would go and it would belie them to get someone to take care of the person they're taking care of.
I would suggest that this particular funding stream be used to pay for caregivers as opposed to anything else. I think that's going to be a much easier to justify and easier to explain process than like just gift certificates and stuff like that. Although,
how do you know who all the caregivers are?
Well, there are a couple of
identify
questions
them.
here.
Yeah, so hold on.
That's why I reached out to PassCon, because they have a caregiver support group. So they know people who. The person is Sherry Hunt at ESCCI, who knows people who are caregivers. So I thought I would start with them. And if we don't get very many people, then we'll advertise probably through Laura's weekly newsletter to see if we have any caregivers. But also, I should tell you that when I submitted the grant application, I had to have a budget, and that budget included things like hiring a person to come in and sit with your loved one, and money to go out to lunch or a movie or get your hair done or get your nails done or go off island if you wanted to. I put that all in the budget, which you all have someplace, but I can resend it to you. So it seems to me, if we do any limitations on people, it should just be a dollar amount limitation as opposed to what they use it for, because the state is saying we should be as broad thinking as possible about what would relieve a caregiver, because people are all different. So we need to
I have
be.
another question. I wanted to just say one more thing. Are these with people, not with Sherry Hunt, but also there's another group? There's a gal who has a whole bunch of people that she puts in people's houses and runs this whole service. Are those people included too? Is it anybody who's a caregiver?
Anybody who's a caregiver.
I'm trying to think of the name of that
So
gal.
that includes, Best of Care, Aerodyne, and
Well, shouldn't
the
it be
other
for family
caregiver.
members?
So this is for you guys to decide. I do not believe
Yeah,
the terms
that's-
of this are in the grant. So if you guys want to give money for caregivers, then you guys have to, like, you would need to get in contact with the caregivers. I think the idea that Marianne had about using PassCon as a referral service, that simplifies things immensely. You can then be directly interacting with the agency that's providing aids to allow people to help.
My feeling is that this is for people that are not already compensated. Like if, best of care people, those are caregivers, but that's their livelihood. I was thinking it would be more like the mother or the husband or the father, the daughter or something.
I think we can say
That
family
needs-
caregiver. Family caregivers are who who we're offering this to. I mean, that's a good way
So-
to,
Just so we're all on the same page here, because it seems like we're talking about a couple of different things here. We would be awarding this money to family members who have people who need relief. We'd be giving this money to family members who would then be able to spend it either on an approved, like either on a caregiver so they can go out, or they can spend it on going out. I think that's how you guys determine. All of these things would be awarded to individuals who have people who they're giving care to, right?
Yeah, we're not going to stand over them and find out what they're going to do with the money, are we? I
Yes,
mean,
because they have to provide receipts.
oh,
Every
okay.
dollar has to be accounted for.
Oh, Jesus, what a pain in the.
Which is why I
Here's
think it would
money,
be-
here's your free money, but you, got to give us your firstborn and your inventory of your clothes closet.
Well, actually, it's better than getting nothing, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course.
Any other thoughts on this whole thing?
well, having been a family caregiver for an extended period of time, I'm just wondering if this had been offered to me, what I would do with it. And I think that it would be hard for me to, I think if there were suggestions, like go to lunch or just to make it easy for people who didn't have specific, I mean, it's hard to pick what you want to do.
But if, like, let's say if you saw an ad, or, you heard that there's money out there for a family caregiver who's been taking care of someone in their family that they can't, would you have reached out? I mean, without knowing anything, would you have said, what's going on with this?
Probably not, because
But that's
always,
not-
yeah, because people are always more needy than me. So we have to make it easy for people to get help, I think.
Well, I
However
think
we
that
can do
that's
that.
where we come in as people that are sponsoring this, is that if we know of anybody, right off hand, I know of somebody, but I mean, that we could go to them and say, look, there's $300 available for you to have a day off from taking care of, Uncle Bud or something, and you should sign up for it.
Yeah, I think we need to sell it in some way, shape or form. So, yeah,
I mean, let's
hard to
say you
figure-
go out to lunch or go out to dinner, somebody's going to go out to lunch. You're not going to go out to lunch on Nantucket for less than $200, well, $100, 150 say. And then you put another 75 for caregiving, because you're going to be gone for what, 3 hours, $25 an hour. So, I mean, I think,
So should we put a limit of like $500 per person, per caregiver on this? Well,
if they don't use the whole 500, do they have to give the money back?
yes, so they have to have every dollar has to be accounted for. And
Which
I
is-
should say also that this is an experiment that the state is doing. This is the first time they've ever offered scholarships like this. And so they know we're in new territory here and we're figuring out as we go. They know that. And of course, we know that.
I think $500.
If a caregiver, for instance, does everything, and assuming they get food that comes in or not, or maybe she cooks one meal, and she also cleans the house, you know, to get somebody else to come in and clean the house might be a nice perk.
I agree. That was
Yeah.
one of the things that when I gave them a budget, that was one of the things I put in the budget. Actually, you all do have a copy of this, the budget I submitted, which completely came off the top of my head with possibilities of how people could spend money. But because I talked with Debbie at PassCon and because she's involved with these people every day, I thought it was a good place to start because she can suggest this to one of her clients. If you were given some money to go to lunch with a friend, would you like to have that? So I have one name, and I think, you know, by next month, at least I'll be able to say if that worked or didn't work. And if it doesn't work, we might have to advertise this and be more specific about what we're offering.
Yeah, I guess we should wait and see what the people who are working with the actual caregivers can come up with when it, you know, we should take their suggestions because it's all new.
Yeah, just say that there's $500 available for you. And, you know, you don't have to do it in one day, but you have to give us an accounting of what you spend it on.
Or a boat trip, going back and forth to Hyannis would be nice.
I agree.
I mean, we don't have, like I said, we don't have to dictate what they do with the money as long as it's,
Accounted for.
and do they get it for any, I mean, are you saying that you only have 24 hours to be queen for a day? Or can they have it for,
We have it till June.
they have the
Yeah.
money till
The
June?
the money has to be spent by the end of June.
If we give the money to somebody, $500, like next week, so they have till June to spend it.
I'm
Yeah,
just
although
gonna,
I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay,
I
well,
was
see,
just
that's
gonna
what I'm
throw out-
asking. There is an expiration to, like, you get this money for a week, and if you don't spend it, then you have to give it back, or do you have?
so the terms of the grant are that the money must be spent by June and has to be accounted for. You can't just give the person $500 and call it a day. They have to buy something with it and then give you the receipt for it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. The money to us is good till June, but that doesn't mean the money that we give to somebody is good till June.
It can be whatever you guys decide in terms of distributing the money.
I think it should be for a specific purpose. The caregiver should say, this is what would make my week or month. And then we fund it. So they would come up with what they want to do, not just here's $500, see if you can spend it in a day. Just,
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's good. Like, go to them and say, what would be like your ultimate right now for this month? What could you say would be like, I want to get my hair done. I want to go out to lunch with my friend and I want my house cleaned.
So would we be paying for the haircut and the person?
Yes.
Well, if
Okay,
we're
great.
saying we're giving
The
them
idea is to give them
$500,
relief, whatever they
Yeah.
think of as relief. So, yes.
But remember, if you're gonna cap it to $500 per person, you're gonna be doing this for 14 people that have to fit in before June and you need to account for. So, it would be, the paperwork part of this will impact whether or not we're able to apply for more grants should this work out well. So we want to kind of have, I think it would be better to start with a more constrained list of options and then expand out or interact via merit. Like say someone has a good idea and you're like, well, I don't want to say no to it, but start with a concrete thing that you're offering someone, X number of hours over the course of a week where you don't have, like where we pay for a caregiver for you to go do what we want, or something like that. In terms of fairness and in terms of accounting, it's going to be easier to provide money for caregivers as a direct thing, as opposed to subsidizing the other behavior. by other behaviors. It's just going to look better when we report out on the stuff. Did that make any sense or no?
No, it did.
Yeah,
It made
I-
sense.
I mean,
Let's
Let's
I'm
just see what comes our way. I mean, I think that's all we can do is see what people come up with. And if we, need to expedite spending the money, then we'll come up with ways in which we can, provide specific services or, we have to see what works for the person. So Marianne, that's completely, we can offer all we want, but what we really want to do is provide respite care. And,
Right.
Whatever the caregiver needs. So let's see what comes our way.
Okay, well, the first person, I have a name and a phone number, and I will be calling her within the next week. And we'll see what she thinks is respite for her. I can only take this one step
Yep.
at a time.
No, that's great.
But all of these suggestions are great. I mean, lots of food for thought. And I think I want to even give more consideration to a dollar limit so that one or two people don't take up the whole thing. But to tell you the truth, I don't think there's going to be a run on this money. Just judging from my discussion with, I've had a lot of talks with Debbie at PassCon about this, and it was such a new idea to begin with. She couldn't imagine it. And then when she started talking to her clients, they had to get used to the idea. So people have to get used to the idea. They don't just have dreams off the top of their head. So one step at a time is all I can.
And so one more thing, the ESCCI has a caregivers group that meets via Zoom. I don't know whether anybody on Nantucket has ever attended that, but there is a group that's being offered through ESCCI, and they've got a new person that's handling that program. So maybe I'll find out who that is. And Marianne, if you
Yeah,
want to be in touch with
that'd
them,
be great.
just to, see if they have any clients. Can't imagine who would be going to it, but maybe somebody is. I think
Well,
Laura
and
has,
PassCon has the same kind of group.
yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, do you recall that being in one of those MCOA bulletins?
I do not, no, I don't recall.
Okay. Or is it, or else in, an ESCC, I mean, for some reason I thought I saw it in one of your newsletters.
Could very well be.
I'll look into that.
Okay.
Okay,
Mary,
thank you,
and quick-
everybody.
Just a quick question. Are we going to vote on these things as they come in? Do you just give them arbitrary approval, or how is this going to work?
Well, I don't think we have time to vote on everyone. That's a good question. Again, maybe if, as opposed to the whole group voting, would it be okay with you if after I quote interview an applicant, if I discuss it with Allison as the vice chair, if you would give us permission, the two of us, to approve somebody, would that be okay with people?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Want to take a vote on this?
Yeah,
You,
I think that's a good.
and if I may clarify quickly, just because governance is a thing that is being beaten into my head right now, it would be a unanimous decision between the two of you would be yes. What happens if you differ?
What happens, what?
If the two of you, if say one person agrees, like, is it both of you agreeing unanimously to add someone to this program?
I'm sorry, you
Yeah,
have to,
why does it have to be so confusing? Can't we just say that Allison
Here's,
and have?
so what happens if Allison and Marianne disagree on it?
well, how about you could be our third person then, Jericho?
This is why I asked.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Jericho's
Do
the
people want to take a
tiebreaker.
vote on this? Does somebody want to make a motion on this?
What exactly would we be motioning?
Okay, the motion would be that for every applicant we get, both Allison and I would have to interview the person and agree that that person would get the money they need. If Allison and I disagree, then we would go to Jericho as a third vote, up or down on that.
He cannot legally vote on anything.
It's not a vote of binding measures. It would be a decision to approve an individual.
If you
Which would-
approve an individual for a grant,
So
that
this would
has
be
to
in
come
how.
back to the whole board.
No, it does not. This is
Why
how
not?
we would be, because you would be granting us power with this motion to make this decision outside of normal, the normal procedures of meetings, because we can't.
Is that
hold a-
possible legally?
Yes, it is. We do it in other boards.
Okay, because I'm not on a board that is legal.
If there's measures that need to be determined between meetings, then you can empower the individuals as part of the board to make decisions like that, as long as they're done transparently and they're not in violation of open meeting law. Since this is going to be two people on a 4-quorum board, they can discuss this information and I can be the third deciding vote.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that, but if you think that's legal, I can't do it on any other board I'm on. We have subgroup, but they have to come back to the board for the approval.
So then,
Well, This board would have to meet a lot more often for this to be efficient. We would
Yeah.
not be able to spend the money by the end of June if we have to come back to.
the other alternative to that would be to get a slate of people for approval and then bring that to, so you would pick 5 or 6 people for your initial month, then bring that to the next meeting after that, and then approve that for disbursement the following month. During the
actually-
month,
You know, I think that HIPAA,
Mary and Allison are gonna have a hard time agreeing
Yeah.
with the same person.
and I can't imagine that someone that PASCON gives to us should be interviewed in front of the whole board anyway, just for HIPAA reasons. I mean,
it would just be
No, it
you
wouldn't
guys
be
coming
that.
back with your recommendation.
right, I mean, I feel comfortable that Mary Ann and I will see eye to eye on most things, so Jericho probably won't even need to be brought into it, but I also think that it needs to be able to run smoothly and quickly. We can't come back, if someone asked for $5,000, that's not something that I don't think Mary Ann and I could decide upon on our own, and we'd then bring it back to the board if it was something that we didn't feel comfortable doing, but hopefully we'll get small, I don't
If you
want
want
to
me
make
to
a big deal
be-
out of it.
You want me to be the third person?
Oh.
I'm happy to take that on.
That would
And
be an
then-
open meeting law violation.
Yeah, see, that's the threshold that we're running up against here. You guys
that again?
cannot, this is an open meeting law violation if it's more than 2 people discussing who are board members. The reason why I offered myself up as a potential third is because we won't pass the threshold for open meeting.
Okay.
I like Mary Ann's motion.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Okay, yays or nays? Allison,
Yay.
Diane, not here. Vanessa,
Yay.
Kendra,
Yay.
Jude,
Yay.
Susie,
Yay.
Nancy,
Yay.
Linda,
I'm going to abstain.
Mary Ann, yes. Okay, it passes. Okay, from that, as we go forward, then Allison and I will evaluate each applicant. If we disagree, we will go to Jericho for a third opinion. Thank you, everybody.
And just to clarify, the vote, my participation will not be a vote on board matters. I will just be the tiebreaker for the recommendation. That's why it's not a violation of order. But I'm going to double
I
check
have-
on that. Linda,
I
I'm
have-
going to double check on that. Thank you.
Okay,
I have one other question. Is there going to be a limit to the amount per person? I mean, if, let's say there's 30 caregivers, it would be nice to give somebody 500 or 300 or whatever they needed. But obviously, if it's over a certain amount, I think it should come before us as a group.
yeah, I agree.
Well, that's why I was suggesting that maybe we should set a limit that not over any certain amount. And I just threw out $500 as, just a talking point.
Well,
Maybe-
maybe can you sit again, the person that you said that you had in mind, let's see how the response is. I mean, I couldn't imagine somebody asking for $5,000. Well, maybe, I mean,
Go to
I
the
think-
Caribbean.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that since this is so brand new and we're so nubile at it, that maybe if this person Mary Ann, that you're gonna suggest, offer this to, I'm sure he's gonna say, well, how much are you talking about?
Well, if I'm asked that question, I'm going to go back to what would give you some relief as a caregiver?
Right.
Imagine. So, and then we'll figure out what that costs and we'll see if it's unreasonable.
What if they need to go to Hyannis to get their mouth drilled or something? And that's a whole day back and forth on the boat. I mean,
I
That's
put that in the
insurance.
budget.
yeah,
That was one of the things I suggested, an off-island trip.
yep. So,
It could, the medical stuff could be covered by their insurance, so let's not get carried
Yeah.
away.
Well, maybe
Right.
just the travel part, like, let's just say I need 2 days.
I thought more of an off-island trip if they wanted to go shopping or lunch or
for the
something like
movies
that.
or something, yeah.
Well, we'll definitely discuss this more at the next meeting. And maybe at that one, we'll bring up the dollar amount again and come up with some guidelines on the
Yeah,
dollar.
but you're
amount.
gonna see that person before the next meeting, right? Because this is like.
Yes,
this-
I have her name and phone number, and I would have called her already if this contract had been signed. It's just not signed by the town yet.
And again, Mary Ann, I do not know why that happened. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be today, right? Yeah, so we'll be moving ahead. Okay, on to the next item on the agenda, which is Jericho's report.
Okay, so on human services news, we have been continuing the Nantucket Behavioral Health Roadmap meetings with started under the CFN, Community Fund for Nantucket, and then we moved into a request for interest. We're going to be drafting up a request for interest to send to people to help us stay in step with the newly announced state revision to the behavioral health roadmap. It's looking at a sort of behavioral health clinic model here on the island, partially funded by the state. And then there's a lot of data sharing and intake systems being put in place by the state. So we're looking for some basically behavioral health system experts that will allow us to stay in lockstep with the town, sorry, with the state, and to improve our funding sources, both to get more people into treatment programs, as well as to get some prevention and early intervention as well. So that's going to be, there's going to be a lot of work on that. That's probably a couple of years worth of work before we have a whole new setup, but it should be basically a one-stop shop for all behavioral needs. The basic plan right now is for there to be a single number to call, a single website to go to, and then a single agency, which will be basically a storehouse for all behavioral health needs. So if you have any kind of behavioral health issue, from mental health to substance abuse, to anything else like that, there'll be a single place to go where you can get matched with the care that you need, as well as either insurance or assistance in getting that care. So that's been a pretty big project. That's connecting with the townwide reassessment of a lot of substance abuse programs. The Committee for the Contract Review Committee, apologies, CRC, is also meeting. We're going to be getting our presentations together for that. And I believe we're going to be having to present to Select Board before the end of February on that front. That includes the cannabis grant money for a variety of substance abuse programs, and then the normal slate of everything from the Artists Association Healing Arts Program to Fairwinds to Cottage Hospital's Social Services Department. We should be announcing those by the end of the month. We also started the second half of January. We started our clinic operations back up. We're currently running regular clinics for anyone 12 and older. So anyone who needs a dose of Pfizer who is older than 12, be it a first, second, or third dose, can go and get a dose by signing up on Wednesdays between 4 to 6 at the trailer next to the old fire station. In other COVID news, we just got our wastewater results back in a little while ago. The drop from last week is continuing. We've seen about a 70% drop in the amount of viral particles per unit of volume, which means that there is a significant drop off of the amount of COVID in the wastewater, which is good news. We see the case numbers dropping in lockstep, more or less, much in the same way they did in Boston. Israel, and Denmark. So we're probably through the winter holidays spike, and we should expect continuing declines in daily testing numbers, at least until after the next school vacation. From there on in, basically expect a spike in the week to 2 weeks after any vacation. And then we'll see where we are in the summertime. The only uncertainty in this is whether or not a new variant arrives and what that variant does to natural or vaccine immunity. Other than that, I am as cautiously optimistic about COVID as I've been in the last 6 months at least, which means that something weird will happen, and I will regret having said that later. Other than that, yeah, that's basically it for Health and Human Services. There's been a ton of vaccine stuff, COVID support, testing distribution, and then we're really trying to zero in both on the once a year homelessness report that will be done, the count will be done next week, and then getting and staying on top of the behavioral health stuff with the Community Foundation. Any questions on anything COVID related, health, human services, any town business of any sort? I'm happy to answer.
How many homeless people are there at this point?
That
6,
is-
8?
That is the count that we've been doing. The state does a point in time count, so they count on the same 24-hour period every year. We've never been able to participate in this because we've never had an official homeless anything here on the island. The winter warmer right now is going, that's the winter warming station run by the Interfaith Council. That I believe that if you were to do that test right now, there would be 6 classically homeless individuals. But the unhoused, perilous housing, couch surfing population is vastly larger than that, probably by 2 orders of magnitude.
Are
Did
there
that answer
any
your
other
question,
questions
Susie?
for- Any other questions for Jericho?
Thanks, Jericho. That was great.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you, Jericho. Laura?
Hi.
You
So
have-
things are going well, considering we're not open. We are Zooming all of our fitness classes, so that's doing great. Obviously, they're still doing construction, but they're plowing through it. It looks really nice, really nice. It's nice and bright. They still are putting up, the fans have to go up, some more lights have to go up, and all the new fire detectors in the great room. And then they should be done. So hopefully next week, I don't have a date or anything, so at least Ginny and I will be back at some point, but that'll be up to Jericho of when we will open in the afternoons again. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's looking good. We fared okay through the storm. There'll be a couple of pictures on the newsletter to let you know like what happened and what it looked like, but we didn't get flooded, but the street was flooded. So no water damage to the building, but I couldn't get to the building during high tide.
So did you redo the kitchen as well? I know that you'd
Yes,
already
it's
done the
painted.
bathroom.
Yep, it's
Okay.
painted. Yep, and the hallways and the foyer. Look,
What about
And
the
what
bathrooms?
Are you keeping your rug? That rug when you come into your bath, or are you gonna pull that up?
just, you mean like a winter rug for water and
Do
snow?
you have a
or-
rug? No, do you have a rug on your half of the?
No, all the rug's completely gone. They refloored the whole place.
Excellent, excellent.
All refloored. So it looks great. They did not paint the 3 offices, which I don't know why they didn't, but
Yeah, really.
it's just, so we'll see if they do it. It's noticeable, but maybe they'll do it in the future. Who knows?
We could have volunteers come down.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the yellow, but it doesn't match, but that's okay with me. So it looks great. Looking forward to getting back in here again.
I think what you should do is put everything around, under tarp and make it look like you're ready for them.
Right. Oh, aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm excited to see it.
I know, it looks great, it really does.
Laura, I have a question for you about your report, because you mentioned a future Zoom meeting with Brenda Johnson about the
Yep.
future of the Island Home. Is
Yep.
that a question session? Is she seeking information, or is she giving an update about what's going on with the Island Home?
Initially, she'll just give information of what is going on, but then what she's really looking to see what people's concerns and thoughts are, just so they don't miss anything. So she'll be doing that once a month. We'll be Zooming with her once a month for that because, she even changed the title to
About 5 minutes before you got to me. Did this just hit the wire?
What?
What are you
I-
talking about?
I just muted her. I think that's crosstalk.
It was crosstalk.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, Linda. I just figured muting was the best option there.
So we will be doing that with her once a month until, I guess, they get to the next step. She doesn't really know when that is, but she did change it to, instead of the future of our island home, it's more of the future of the salt marsh and our island home, because the thought is that when the island home goes to Sherburne, the salt marsh would go into the island home either as is or rebuild or whatever, but she just wants to get everybody's input on it. And so changing the name of it hopefully is getting more salt marsh members to participate and be able to share their thoughts and feelings before anything happens and then say, hey, I didn't know that. So
Okay.
it's very informative. She's doing a great job.
Thank you, Laura. That was a great report. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for Laura? Okay, thank you again. Next on the agenda, Allison, you were going to talk to us about the MCOA Walk Challenge. So the floor is yours.
So on the bulletin that comes around, apparently they have, Council on Aging sponsor events in other places. And this walk, I just read in that bulletin, is something that I think Nantucket can participate in. I sent the flyer, but they have a communications plan that has the press releases all ready to go. But what they do is you can participate as an individual or as a group, and you choose one of the 4 programs that they offer. And of course, since we're on an island, the one that where you walk. So did you guys take a look at the email that Laura sent just most recently?
I just got it, so.
Yeah, but I think that I would love to have the Council on Aging do something. I think it would draw attention to us. We need to recruit new board members. The Salt Marsh and the Council on Aging, needs to recruit new people. There's so many people who are not members of the Salt Marsh or could participate, but don't know enough about it. And so I thought that this would be something that would involve families. It involves walkers, but I think as members of the Council on Aging, we'd have to recruit and really, we can publicize it through the press releases that are generated. But I think that we would also participate ourselves and encourage other people, like Amy Santos walks every day. I would like to, I would approach her and say, would you like to do this? And I'm not quite sure how the tracking of it works, but you track your miles online. And, and then if you get to a certain point, you can win a prize of a Dunkin' Donuts gift. I don't know, the gift certificates that they're offering, people could use when they went off island because they are,
What-
but
and
anyway,
I didn't read any of the thing. What are you raising? Just awareness, or is there raising money?
nope, no raising money. Let me just read you the press release. Oh, where is it? It says Walk Massachusetts is a community-wide walking challenge running May 1st through October 31st and is open to community members aged 5 and over. Each participant chooses one of 4 predetermined challenges, which based on distance or frequency, which are based on distance or frequency. Individuals who complete the challenge receive raffle prize entries for themselves and their council on aging. Individual prizes include gift cards, Visa, Amazon, and Dunkin' Donuts. The Council on Aging prize levels range from $250 to $1,000. So it's an annual program run by the Mass COA. And it's returning this year with 2 major improvements. Originally designed for adults 60 and above, Walk Massachusetts is now an intergenerational initiative. Anyone 5 to 59 is encouraged to participate by walking and sponsoring an older adult of their choice. Having a classroom of 5 fifth grade children sponsoring older adults strengthens ties within the community, improve one's health, and may be a catalyst for additional intergenerational learning, said someone. Due to the volume of participants and prizes distributed the past 2 years, a dedicated website was created to register and log daily progress. The program will kick off with a special event at such and such a time with such and such notable personalities. And it says,
So wait a minute, you can't walk if you're over 59?
well, then you're a senior. I'm sure you can.
Well, you
Oh,
said
I-
it was 5 to 59.
Yeah, I guess it, I'm gonna, if this is something that we want to look into, because we'd have to launch it. We'd have to provide support for people who needed to learn how to log on and track their miles. We need people to reach out to the schools and to the Conservation Commission. And I mean, it would be a project that we would work on as the Council on Aging. So I'm happy to do some, but I'm not going to do it all.
Well, I mean, my niece did it for the school. She works for a school, and they did the school year, and you clocked your miles, and and it was just to raise awareness of school teachers and doing all that. And it was definitely, there was a group from each school district in the district of upstate New York or central New York, but it wasn't, it was individual or a group, like it was all her special needs group of teachers that she walked with. But there was like all the math teachers or all the kindergarten teachers in the group. But I don't remember her saying that they had like water station. I mean, it was an individual.
Yeah, that's what this would be, is like there'd be no day where everyone walked together, but there'd be a kickoff event that people could get more information about it. I mean, it spans a really long period of time. I mean,
You're meant to give yourself a goal, right? I mean,
yeah. And then it could get, I mean, our Council on Aging could get $1,000. That's the highest prize. But it brings attention to Council on Aging and how we look out for our seniors, like sponsoring an older adult of their choice. I don't really know what all that means, but because I've never done it before. But this is something that Council on Aging throughout the state have done for, I don't know how many years, that we could participate in. A lot of the work is done. But if we do it, we should decide, by the next meeting that we're going to do it and then start getting the word out.
and I think that's a great idea. I mean, I can't walk with anybody over there, but I would definitely walk over here, and it would be an incentive for me. I mean, I walk not every day, but in Allie, you walk. every
Yeah,
day.
no, I mean, you
That
know,
would be, it's not a challenge on that end, but it would be great that we could all meet back once a month and,
yeah, I just think that people who log into who log in with their numbers are thinking about the Council on Aging and the aging population. And, we have no profile, our Council on Aging, basically. And I think we would attract more new members and, I just think it would be something for us to do. Like we don't do the Elder Expo anymore, haven't done the luncheons, et cetera, et cetera. This is something that we can do that would,
that's not because of COA is dropping off.
right,
I mean, that's that's
right.
out of our hands stuff. I think if it, in the next few years or a year or something, we're able to do it, we'll kick back in wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I mean,
I just doing that, but I think that this is a great idea because it isn't getting together with 35, 40 people. It's could be
Yeah.
individual, but going as a group. I think it's a great idea. And I think, what if you put it in the paper? I mean, I know ads are so expensive, but if you do that and you do
Well, no, I mean, they have written press releases already. So if we could get, if we had a kickoff event at Delta Fields where you could, whatever, but I think
if you try to do a group thing with everybody, then you're going to get into the whole COVID thing again. I don't think you can do a big kickoff thing.
right.
Maybe, I mean, I don't want to Debbie Downer here, but
Well,
I get what you're saying. I think it's a great idea.
I'm just reading off because they have a toolkit. The Mass Council on Aging provides graphics, a press release. So if we just copy this press release and gave it to Mary Ann, she'd definitely put it in the paper.
Cool.
So, but I think to be successful, I think we need to promote it to our friends. And
I think so too. I think it would definitely bring our name out forward in what we do, because it does feel like we ain't moving in the upward and outward motion. I think it's a great idea. I move that we take on this particular walkathon. I think it's a great idea, and I think
anybody else?
Others would like to weigh in here on this subject?
I have a daughter-in-law who teaches 5th grade over in the intermediate school. And maybe I could use her kind of as a person to spread the word around. That way, at least the older kids could kind of gather together and do their walking.
Yeah, or they could walk with their grandmother or their parents or something. I do want to get to the bottom of anyone 5 to 59 is encouraged to participate. Like, what if you're older than that?
I know, and I think that was just that's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just just a saying or a cliche thing. But the other thing is that the high schoolers need to have so many hours of volunteer or whatever, they could do something. But I think I definitely, it behooves us to get our name on it and in the paper ASAP. When does it start? May?
May 1st to October 31st. I think the website goes up, or you have to register by a certain time period. So I will get more details. I mean, I just want to have some, some read on if anyone else besides me wants to do this. Because if it's just me, then I'll do something else.
Well, we might chop liver.
Well, yeah, but no, you aren't chopped liver, but you're in Centerville. Not that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like knocking on.
I mean,
Allison, I support you in this. I think that walking is something that everybody can do. I know 90-year-olds who walk, so I don't understand the limitation of 59, but I think this is something that we should do and that we should collaborate with as many community organizations as possible to include as many people as possible throughout the island.
And so that would be what this board would do, is we'd be reaching out to the other, schools. Alan Reinhardt, he could have a group that he runs. I mean, I just think that the people that we can engage to do this will be talking us up. And when I think we need that.
So how would you like to proceed? Are there enough people here who would like to participate in this and want to contribute to it, that we should go ahead as a board?
I mean, physically contributing is walking and having other people sign up and encouraging people to sign up. It doesn't have to be this big, huge,
Right.
I mean, seriously, it would be like 5 minutes sitting in a chair calling, helping somebody do the website or something. I mean, it's not necessarily meaning you have to.
I think you have to, like you have to be able to answer everyone's questions. Like I just have a bunch of questions that I'm going to talk to the person about, because I don't understand how you even log your hours online, but we'd have to all know the details of the whole program in order to get other people interested. And that would take some effort on our parts.
There's a whole bunch of different apps that you can log in, for running or walking. The GPS coordinates, and it hits up and shows you the map, and then you screenshot the map and you post it to social media. If you were to, in fact, go and ask, help from different groups, like I would really think of all the different groups that you participated in, let's say, the spelling bee or trivia, or, the different social circles that you already know.
Because we could win $1,000. I mean, it would be great to even be on the
radar.
MCO is what, like Nantucket has no presence anywhere off island. And I would really like to, to change that and to join in with programs that have worked for other places that could work for us too. Like it's only $1,000. That's the most we can get out of it. But the exposure, I think, would be great. So that's it for me.
Well, I think it's a great idea. And they, if we won $1,000, I know everybody over here in the Cape would start screaming.
I know.
Okay, people who have not weighed in yet, do you have any comments for Allison? Do you want to support this?
Are you asking me?
You're
Jude.
one person, Jude is another person.
Susie?
I'm okay with this. I just, logistically, I think it's tough.
I'm
Sorry,
okay.
I'm talking and I was muted.
I don't
I'm
know.
fine with it. I think it's great. We need to get some more details on how you go about this, because I think getting $1,000 would be kind of fun.
Okay, details it is.
So just move that you bring us more details at the next meeting, but, so, and then we would take the vote if it's 100% on board or 85 or 90%.
Right, you don't have to make a motion for that. It just goes on the agenda next month.
Okay,
So
Good to know.
Allison, this will be one of the meatier discussions at our next meeting.
okay. I'll probably communicate with Laura to share the answers to these questions. So, and also links to whatever you might want to read about it. So.
Thank
so
you.
there. You're welcome.
I think that's a great idea. Do you have any reports that you want to make on dementia friendly and elder services?
Well, I had a great meeting with Pascon, who wanted to talk about the Memory Cafe. So I'm trying to set up a meeting with not Gosnell, with NAMI, but then the Pascon had to pull out because they had to get something. I mean, they have to deal with the hospital and sort of like we have to deal with the town when it comes to procedures. So that's on hold again. but I have great hopes that something will happen this winter, because there is somebody who's interested in funding it. So there's money, it's just the details that we need to work through. And the Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands, Marianne Ryan, who you know Marianne Easley from she was so she's now the executive director of ESCCI, and
Right.
she's really, really good. Let me see. They're gonna get a new website. They're down a bunch of people. I don't think they have a care manager on Nantucket right now. They have a lot of slots in protective services. There are 519 consumers waiting for services throughout their network. This is a high number statewide. It's the highest in the state. MASHP is starting an adult day health program, which is great. May 10th, Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands will be 50 years old. And also, Marianne Ryan has spoken to a bunch of Health and Human Services directors. And so maybe she'll be on Frank and Mary next to sort of help bring the island up to where the state is when it comes to services for elders. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Allison? Okay, I'm going to wind up this meeting with an extremely brief report from having attended the meeting of NCEA, the Nantucket Center for Elder Affairs. They are planning a reopening ceremony of the Salt Marsh, for the Salt Marsh, at the Salt Marsh. No date has been set yet, but I just wanted people to know that this is coming up. And part of the discussion was a suggestion that they include a recognition of the 2 seniors of the year for last year as part of the celebration to recognize these 2 people. So just wanted people to know about that. Another thing is that they have added a new director to their roles, and that person is Rachel Day. So everybody here knows Rachel. She's now going to be a member of that group. And finally, they had their annual fundraising event, and the last time I reported, they had received $20,750, and now that is up to $38,000 that they have raised through their mail fundraising.
That's good, right?
$38,000, yeah, which is incredible. Of course, they're spending a lot of it on upgrading the salt marsh. So, but they've been very successful with their annual appeal. And we've come to the end of the agenda. So I'm going to ask somebody to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks.
I will
Susan.
second.
Thanks, Vanessa. I will go down the list. Allison,
Yes. Bye.
Vanessa,
Thank you. Bye.
Kendra,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Susie,
Bye.
Nancy,
Yes.
Linda,
Yep.
Marianne, yes. Thank you, everybody.
And they
Thank
should have
you.
shot that groundhog today because he saw 6 more weeks of winter.
And I heard what the other one died.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jericho, and thank you, Laura.
Thank you all, everybody. Have a nice
Bye-bye.
February.
Bye, guys.